Boeing is a global aviation giant, shaping how people and goods move worldwide since its start in Seattle in 1916. For over a century, Boeing has led in building airplanes, pioneering technology, and setting standards for safety and innovation. Its factories are alive with skilled workers building massive machines. Boeing jets connect cities and continents, helping millions travel for business, adventure, and family. From the iconic 747 to the advanced 787 Dreamliner, Boeing's planes are found in airports everywhere. Boeing employs hundreds of thousands globally, with a vast supply network supporting countless jobs. China is one of Boeing's biggest customers, making its aircraft vital to booming U.S. China trade. But this partnership is vulnerable to global politics. When U.S. China relations sour, Boeing's success makes it a target, showing how business and politics are deeply connected. In early 2025, U.S. China tensions exploded into a full-blown trade war, shaking global industries. The Trump administration hiked tariffs on Chinese goods to 145%, one of the highest rates ever, aiming to pressure Beijing to change its trade practices. Overnight, prices on electronics and clothing soared in the U.S. China hit back fast, slapping a 125% import tax on American products, targeting key U.S. industries. Boeing was hit hard. Chinese airlines canceled orders, making new jets unaffordable and locking Boeing out of the world's second-largest aviation market. With no trade talks scheduled, both governments refused to back down. Boeing and other companies were trapped, scrambling for solutions as jobs and billions of dollars hung in the balance. The economic storm rattled markets and left Boeing's future uncertain, as the world watched the standoff unfold. China's sanctions marked a turning point in the trade conflict, sending shockwaves through the aviation industry. Beijing halted all new Boeing deliveries, even those already paid for, and banned imports of US-made aircraft parts. Chinese airlines canceled dozens of orders, wiping billions from Boeing's books. The sudden cutoff left many planes grounded and in need of critical components. Boeing was left with a growing inventory of unsold jets, whitetails, as production lines for Chinese orders shut down. Over 200 Boeing 737 MAX jets, once destined for China, now sat idle, each representing millions in lost revenue. The sanctions sent Boeing's stock tumbling and left the global aviation industry facing an uncertain future. Halting production for China hit Boeing's workforce hard. Furloughs and layoffs swept through factories, affecting thousands of skilled workers. The pain rippled through the entire aerospace supply chain, forcing smaller suppliers to cut jobs too. Billions in future revenue vanished overnight, while Boeing now had to store and maintain hundreds of undelivered jets. These parked planes tied up capital and forced Boeing to consider discounts to attract new buyers. Investors panicked. Boeing's stock dropped 7% as uncertainty grew. The ban on U.S. parts created chaos for Chinese airlines, threatening to ground jets and disrupt travel for millions. Boeing lost not just sales but also lucrative after-sales service revenue. Leadership tried to reassure markets, but the company was walking a tightrope. The crisis exposed just how vulnerable even the biggest players are to global politics. The trade war's impact rippled far beyond Boeing. On April 16, 2025, U.S. stock markets lost $1.5 trillion in a single day as panic set in. The S&P 500 fell 7% for the year, reflecting fears of recession. Shipping from China to U.S. ports plummeted, threatening shortages and higher prices at retailers like Walmart and Target. The dollar weakened, and global confidence in U.S. financial leadership was shaken. California sued the Trump administration, arguing the tariffs were unlawful and devastating to its economy. The nation was divided. Was this protection or self-inflicted harm? China's sanctions hurt Boeing, but they also stung at home. Chinese airlines, reliant on Boeing jets, faced route cancellations and higher costs as new planes stopped arriving. The ban on U.S. parts threatened China's own jet program, the COMAC C-919, which depends on Western technology. China retaliated by restricting exports of rare earth elements, squeezing U.S. tech and defense industries. The World Trade Organization predicted U.S.-China trade could plunge by 81% in 2025. For China, losing its biggest customer risked factory closures and job losses. The trade war was a double-edged sword, damaging both economies. The sanctions on Boeing were just one front in a much larger, mutually destructive conflict. With Boeing sidelined, Airbus seemed poised to dominate China's aviation market. Chinese airlines turned to Airbus, but global supply chains meant even Airbus faced delays from U.S. suppliers. Meanwhile, China's own Comac C-919 gained momentum, with the government pushing airlines to buy domestic. Comac stockpiled Western parts, preparing for conflict, and scored a win with Vietnam approving the C-919 for its airspace. The duopoly of Boeing and Airbus was under threat. If China can reduce its reliance on Western tech, Comac could become a global contender. The trade war meant to punish might end up creating a new rival. The balance of power in the skies was shifting. The aviation industry faced a new era of competition. The consequences would be felt for generations. The Boeing-China standoff signals a shift in globalization. Political conflict can now sever even the deepest economic ties, forcing companies to rethink global supply chains. The aviation industry may see a permanent fracture with Boeing, Airbus, and Comac competing for dominance. Distinct technological blocks could emerge, splitting the world's aviation markets. The human cost is immense. Thousands of jobs lost, communities disrupted, and uncertainty on both sides of the Pacific. Trade wars rarely have winners. The pain is mutual and lasting. The path forward is uncertain. Resolution will require political will and compromise. If the conflict deepens, these changes could become permanent. Economic interdependence is now seen as a vulnerability, not a strength. Boeing's parked jets are a symbol of this turbulent new era. The future of global trade and the skies hangs in the balance.